Have you ever pondered why some individuals appear to attain their objectives with apparent ease, while others, harboring equally fervent intentions, abandon their pursuits within mere days? This disparity isn't attributable to serendipity, an exceptional innate talent, or even a fleeting burst of intense motivation that quickly fizzles out. The genuine differentiator lies in a potent, often undervalued quality: consistency. It is the faculty of showing up, of presenting oneself day after day, irrespective of how you feel, what the world is proclaiming, or the circumstances unfolding around you. And let's be candid, cultivating this consistency is a monumental undertaking in contemporary existence. Consequently, you must rigorously train yourself to do so, particularly on those occasions when volition is conspicuously absent. On this transformative odyssey, I shall guide you in dismantling your pretexts, conquering internal resistance, and forging an unshakable mindset, firmly anchored in self-discipline. If you are prepared to cease the cycle of perpetual restarts, to finally commit yourself wholeheartedly to your aspirations, then our expedition commences this very moment. We have all found ourselves at that juncture of contemplation, questioning what differentiates those who attain success from those who capitulate so readily. Are they inherently more intelligent, more gifted, or simply beneficiaries of extraordinary fortune? The reality is far more profound. The crucial distinction lies in a singular element: consistency. And here, we are not alluding to that fleeting enthusiasm, that initial spark that dissipates within days, akin to a fragile flame buffeted by the wind. We speak of a quiet, tenacious discipline, one that remains unyielding to emotional fluctuations. It is the inner fortitude that propels you forward when you are weary, when boredom sets in, or when the world appears to turn its back on you. This is the unshakable foundation upon which all enduring success is meticulously crafted. I used to believe that inspiration was the fuel that would keep me going. But inspiration is like the wind. It arrives swiftly and departs even more rapidly. You cannot construct a sturdy house with the wind, but you certainly can build a future through consistent, repeated actions, day after day. Most people commence with an overwhelming surge of enthusiasm. They pen grandiose goals and proclaim with fervor, "I will change my life." However, mere days later, life presents its challenges. A chilly morning, a stressful meeting, an unforeseen rejection, and suddenly, procrastination takes root. I'm not saying this to judge you, but so that you may forgive yourself and begin anew from a more robust foundation. That foundation is consistency, not because you feel inclined, but because you are committed. When you act consistently, you begin to build a new kind of trust, self-trust. Every time you overcome inertia, every time you fulfill a promise made to yourself, you are proving silently and powerfully that you are someone who can be relied upon. And when that self-trust solidifies, everything shifts. You stop waiting for external validation. You cease depending on your mood to take action. You no longer wait for motivation. You become the driving force behind your own endeavors. Look at truly successful individuals in any field. Athletes, artists, entrepreneurs. Do you honestly believe they wake up every day brimming with passion? Of course not. They too have off days. But the fundamental difference is that they still show up. They still train, they still write, they still make the calls. They act even when no one is watching, even when no one is applauding, because they grasp something fundamental. This understanding is simple, yet profoundly potent. Repetition breeds results. Initially, your efforts may seem imperceptible, insignificant. But consider a snowball careening down a mountainside. With every impetus, with every iteration, it gains mass. Consistency is that impetus. Without it, nothing budges. You might do the right thing today and witness no discernible shift, but do it again tomorrow and the day after and the week following. One day, you'll awaken to the realization that you are no longer the same individual. You've transformed not in a boisterous or dramatic fashion, but in the most understated and sustainable manner possible. And here's a crucial point. Consistency isn't an innate gift. It's a cultivated skill, a deliberate choice. Akin to a muscle, the more you exercise it, the more robust it becomes. You needn't commence grandly. Start minutely, so infinitesimally that failure becomes an impossibility. 5 minutes of reading, 10 minutes of writing, a single morning exercise. You're not undertaking this because you relish it, but because it aligns with the person you've consciously chosen to become. Each consistent diminutive act conveys a message to your psyche. This is who I am now. And when you perpetuate this sufficiently, your brain internalizes it, and you begin to operate from this newfound identity. However, do not conflate consistency with flawlessness. There will be days of missteps, moments of faltering. What truly matters is the alacrity with which you re-engage. It's not about I never stumble, but rather I invariably rise. You don't need to be the most gifted. If you are more persistent than others, you will invariably progress further. This is an assurance, and it's an assurance you owe to yourself. Henceforth, each morning, internalize this. I require no inspiration. I demand action, and I shall show up irrespective of circumstances. Because if you persist in showing up, you will ultimately outpace those who are more intellectually astute, physically stronger, or even luckier than you. Life doesn't bestow rewards upon those who initiate, but rather upon those who persevere. And I hold a deep conviction that you possess the capacity to be that person. If you've ever told yourself, I'll do it, maybe tomorrow, or I need more time to prepare, know that you're not alone. Procrastination isn't simply laziness. It's an instinctive defense mechanism your brain deploys when faced with fear, uncertainty, or the overwhelming sensation that a task is too monumental. And perfectionism, while it may sound noble, is often the most deceptive guise procrastination wears. Left unchecked, both will silently pilfer your time, your energy, and ultimately, your self-assurance. It's crucial to grasp one thing with unvarnished clarity. Procrastination is the silent thief of success. It doesn't shout, it doesn't make a sound, but it infiltrates every small decision, keeping you in a perpetual state of, I'll start someday. Yet that someday never arrives. You don't need more time. You need to begin now, with whatever you have. When something feels daunting or simply overwhelming, your brain will instinctively seek an escape. Scrolling through your phone, watching short videos, snacking, or simply switching to easier tasks are common diversions. This doesn't signify a lack of discipline. It means you haven't yet learned how to diminish the inherent resistance to starting. The key isn't to focus on the entire task at once. Begin with just 5 minutes. Tell yourself, I only need to do this for 5 minutes and then I can stop if I want to. More often than not, once you commence, inertia is overcome, and you'll continue well beyond those initial 5 minutes. Stop waiting for inspiration. Motivation doesn't precede action, it follows it. It's action, even the smallest of it, that generates momentum. Cease overthinking and act. You don't need to know everything, you just need to take the first step. Another frequent culprit behind procrastination is perfectionism. You hesitate to begin because you fear you won't do something well enough. But here's the unvarnished truth. Nothing truly exceptional springs forth in its perfected form on the inaugural attempt. Perfectionism, in essence, is merely an elaborate pretext for evading risk, for sidestepping the specter of failure. While you languish in anticipation of the opportune, perfect moment, others have already embarked on their endeavors, stumbled, learned, and achieved substantial headway. Your pursuit should be that of progress, not an elusive state of perfection. Remember this adage: Done is invariably superior to perfect, particularly when the pursuit of perfect results in the work remaining perpetually unfinished. The imposition of artificial deadlines represents another potent strategy for combating procrastination. Absent a clearly defined temporal boundary, your mind operates under the illusion of boundless time. Institute a cutoff point, hold yourself to an exacting standard, divulge this deadline to a confidant, or schedule it as an unassailable commitment. Should your focus be perpetually fractured by your surroundings, reclaim dominion over your environment. Silence notifications, shutter superfluous browser tabs, declutter your workspace. Place your mobile device beyond your immediate reach. When your environment has undergone this detoxification, directing your behavior becomes a far more manageable undertaking. A straightforward yet potent strategy is the 2-minute rule. If a task takes less than 2 minutes to complete, do it immediately. If a task seems overwhelmingly large, break it down into components that take only 2 minutes to initiate. Small actions diminish mental resistance, and small repeated actions build momentum. You also require accountability. Inform someone about what you're working on and ask them to check in on your progress. Knowing that someone is counting on you doubles your chances of following through. Your environment shapes you more than you realize. Surround yourself with people who take action. If you are constantly in proximity to procrastinators, you will absorb their inertia. But if you immerse yourself in a space replete with commitment and drive, you will be propelled upward. Choose your environment intentionally. Procrastination thrives on excuses. I'm not ready. I'm tired. Next week will be better. Each excuse might sound plausible until you pause and ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen if I just start? Then ask again, and what will happen if I don't start? Visualize the consequences of continuous delay. A year from now, you'll be in the same place, with the same dreams and no progress. Now, imagine the reward of acting today. Confidence, growth, tangible results. Which image makes you feel prouder? Every time you conquer procrastination and complete even the smallest task, you are rebuilding self-trust. You are proving your capability. This confidence is invisible, yet it's one of your most valuable assets. Ultimately, you don't need a massive goal. You need a daily system of actions. Don't just say, I want to write a book. Say, I will write for 30 minutes every morning. Transform a wish into a routine, a dream into a habit. When actions become part of your daily rhythm, procrastination loses its grip. And don't forget to reward yourself. Each time you overcome resistance and act, celebrate with a moment of rest, a small indulgence, a kind word to yourself. This reinforces the behavior you want to repeat. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to start and keep going day after day. Actions become habits. Habits shape who you are, and who you are is forged not in the easy moments, but in those when you chose to act, even when it was difficult. Procrastination and perfectionism only hold power when you remain silent and retreat. But the moment you act, they lose all their leverage, and you become the most powerful, courageous, and consistent version of yourself. My friend, allow me to pose a simple yet profound question. What do you believe distinguishes successful individuals from the rest? Is it luck, talent, or advantageous circumstances? I have observed, reflected, and lived long enough to realize it is none of those things. The genuine differentiator lies in self-discipline. Discipline is the conduit between aspirations and actuality. It is not an innate trait possessed by some and absent in others. It is a habit meticulously forged day by day, hour by hour, even during your most exhausted, uninspired, or unmotivated moments. Have you ever made yourself a promise, I'll start tomorrow, only to conjure a new pretext when that tomorrow arrived? You are not alone. Most of us have experienced this. However, the stark reality is that every instance you betray a promise made to yourself, you erode the most crucial foundation of trust you will ever require: self-trust. Discipline is not restriction. It is not the removal of freedom. In truth, discipline is the bedrock of liberty. When you gain mastery over your actions, you cease to be a slave to emotions, circumstances, or procrastination. You become the master. And that feeling, that profound and stable sense of control over one's own life, is among the most powerful and peaceful states a human can experience. So where does discipline begin? It commences with the smallest of acts. Do not await a grand surge of motivation. Make your bed in the morning. Drink a glass of water. Rise when the alarm sounds without hitting the snooze button. These seemingly trivial actions are the nascent bricks in the construction of a robust foundation. Discipline doesn't arise from inspiration. It springs from commitment. Commitment to do what you said you would do, irrespective of your mood. Commitment to show up for yourself, even on your darkest days. It's not about violently forcing yourself. It's about choosing to stand by the best version of who you can become. And then something remarkable happens. The more you honor your word to yourself, the more you begin to trust yourself. That trust becomes the fuel that powers your persistence, and it's that persistence that will carry you further than talent or luck ever could. As you cultivate discipline, you also develop an unseen form of power: mental fortitude. It doesn't shout or boast, but it anchors you when everything around you is faltering. It propels you forward when others have long since surrendered. It is the inner flame, small yet unyielding, that illuminates your entire path. Mental fortitude isn't born from never failing. It's forged from refusing to let failure define you. You fall, and you rise. You are weary, yet you keep moving nonetheless. Each time you forge an armor that is stronger, more resilient, more grounded. Comprehend this. Disciplined individuals aren't so because they always desire to act. They are disciplined because they have decided to act before emotions have the chance to interfere. They don't wait to feel like it. They adhere to a simple principle: I am doing this because I chose this path. Do not conflate discipline with harshness. Cultivating discipline does not mean forsaking joy or living a rigid existence. On the contrary, discipline gives birth to a deeper, more enduring joy, the kind that stems from knowing you are progressing, growing, and mastering yourself. Perhaps today you've only penned a few lines, exercised for 15 minutes, or learned a single new thing. But if you do this every day, you will no longer be the same person. You are forging a new identity, steadfast, solid, unswayed by temptation or disappointment. And here is the secret I want you to never forget. Intentional repetition breeds greatness. Not a single explosive effort, not fleeting glory, but quiet, consistent, conscious, and purposeful repetition. That is the true bedrock of enduring success. You don't need to be superhuman. You just need to be the one who shows up every day, who keeps their promises, even when tired, discouraged, or still waiting for results. Because results don't happen overnight, but they always arrive for those who persist. Start today. Don't try to do everything. Pick one small action, do it every single day, and treat it as a sacred commitment. Soon, discipline won't be something you struggle to maintain. It will become integral to who you are. And when that happens, nothing can stop you. Not because you never feel fear, but because you act in spite of it. Not because you are always strong, but because you refuse to let weakness make your decisions. My friend, let today's action be a declaration of a new future. Allow discipline to be the gift you give yourself. May each day be living proof that you no longer live by fleeting emotions, but by a clear and powerful long-term vision. I believe in you, not out of blind optimism, but because I've seen people like you, step by step, day by day, build what once seemed impossible. And now, it's your turn. There is an invisible enemy that always appears the moment you decide to begin. As soon as you sit down to write, start exercising, or change an old habit, it emerges. Not with a ferocious face, but with familiar whispers. You can do it later. You're tired today. Start fresh tomorrow. Don't push yourself too hard. Skipping a day won't hurt. I call this resistance. Resistance isn't an isolated event. It's an energy, a force that rises every time you attempt something meaningful. And here's what you need to know. Resistance never truly disappears, but you can overcome it and win every day. I'm not telling a fable about unbreakable willpower. I'm sharing a truth that anyone striving for something better has faced. Resistance is an intrinsic part of the human psyche. It is not your adversary, unless you permit it to usurp control. Resistance thrives on procrastination, fear, and a lack of clarity. The more nebulous your objectives, the more mentally depleted you feel, the easier it becomes for resistance to drag you down. Therefore, the initial step in conquering resistance is not to exert greater force, but rather to render your objectives more lucid, more specific, and more manageable. Instead of articulating, "I need to write a chapter today," commit to, "I will write 500 words between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m." Rather than proclaiming, "I will exercise," resolve to, "I will take a 20-minute walk immediately after breakfast." The more granular your specifications, the less fertile ground resistance finds for its insidious growth. Next, reduce the starting threshold as much as possible. Resistance is strongest when you are merely contemplating the task, but it begins to lose its power the moment you act. Tell yourself, "I'll do this for just 5 minutes." Only 5 minutes. But those 5 minutes are your first sword against inertia. Sometimes simply starting is the day's greatest victory, and once you begin, you'll often go further than you imagined. Action is the most potent antidote to resistance. Resistance is also cunning. It tries to trick you into believing you need to wait until you feel ready. But remember this, you will never feel entirely ready. Emotions fluctuate, but commitment does not. Anchor yourself to your commitment, not your mood. Furthermore, understand that resistance is intelligent. It doesn't just impede you with laziness, it masquerades as logic. You should research more before you begin. Read a bit more first. Study just a little longer before you act. But if you look closer, you'll see it's merely fear wearing the guise of knowledge. The only way to break this cycle is to start imperfectly. Let action lead. Learn along the way, adjust as needed, but don't wait for the fog to lift, because that moment never arrives. Another crucial strategy involves identifying your personal patterns of resistance. Observe yourself. At what time of day do you tend to give up? What task typically triggers distractions? Who or what tends to divert your focus? Make note of these vulnerabilities and devise counter strategies. If you're frequently sidetracked at home, change your environment. If you habitually scroll through your phone's feed each morning, leave it in another room overnight. Every barrier you dismantle moves you one step closer to consistency. Don't overlook the power of emotional cues. Before commencing your task each day, ask yourself, how will I feel once this is accomplished? Connect the action to the feeling of completion, because the brain seeks pleasure, and you are leveraging this instinct to propel yourself forward. There will be days when nothing seems to go right. Resistance will feel like a heavy fog over your thoughts. On those days, follow a single rule. Simply do not quit. You may accomplish less than usual. You may complete only a portion of your task, but your presence itself is a victory. Every time you take a small step through resistance, you reinforce your inner confidence. My friend, remember, you are not alone in this struggle. Even the most exceptional individuals face resistance every single day. The difference is that they do not let it govern them. They acknowledge it, feel it, and push through it, step by step, with unyielding determination. Do not wait for a day without resistance. Become the person that resistance cannot break. The more you act in spite of it, the closer you move towards true freedom, the kind that liberates you from the barriers your own mind has erected. And one day, looking back on your journey, you may not recall every small win, but you will remember that you never stopped. That will be the moment you realize you not only defeated resistance, but you defeated your former self and ascended into someone stronger. Those who achieve success and mastery in their fields often do so not because they are more talented or fortunate, but due to a fundamentally simple principle: deliberate repetition. It is not about a single moment of inspiration, but about consistent practice, even when inspiration is absent. It is the persistence in doing the right thing over and over until it becomes second nature, a reflex. The divergence between the ordinary and the extraordinary is found in the resolve to persist in performing the correct action, even when the initial ardor wanes. Ordinary individuals act when they feel motivated. Extraordinary ones act even when they are bored, fatigued, or uninspired. They comprehend that emotions are transient, while proficiency, forged through repetition, is enduring. You cannot anticipate genuine progress if you engage in a practice merely a handful of times and then abandon it. Conversely, if you commit to repetition, incrementally, day after day, you will witness something remarkable. You not only improve, but begin to embody the person you aspire to be. Consider the world's preeminent pianists. They do not possess a mystical secret. They have simply replicated finger movements, scales, and entire compositions for countless hours, to the point where their bodies no longer require conscious thought. This is not innate genius. It is muscular memory, unconscious precision, a nervous system rewired through deliberate practice. And I want you to grasp this. When you repeat an action, you're not merely building a skill, you are fundamentally reprogramming your identity. Each time you perform an action, you embed it more profoundly into your subconscious. Repeat it sufficiently, and it transmutes into a reflex. And once an action becomes a reflex, you no longer require motivation to act. That is the ultimate advantage of those who persevere. The average individual retreats when the process becomes monotonous. The exceptional one understands that tedium is a signal that something magnificent is coalescing. When you do the same thing repeatedly until every detail is honed and refined, you don't advance with a sudden surge. You evolve through escalating precision. Remember, repetition is the most patient and relentless teacher. It spares no one. You cannot fool it, but if you stay with it long enough, it will give you something no classroom ever could: unshakable confidence. True confidence doesn't stem from vague wishes or bold pronouncements. It comes from having done something so many times that doubt no longer has room to exist. I've known many brilliant and talented individuals who never got far because they didn't stick with repetition. They tried a few times, saw no results, and quit. Meanwhile, the most successful people I've ever known chose one thing and repeated it until they achieved perfection, or something close to it. That was the difference. If you're feeling discouraged, if you're questioning whether it's worth it, I want you to return to the fundamental truth. Every skill, every habit, every ounce of confidence begins with small repetitions. And the more you repeat, the closer you get to the most excellent version of yourself. Don't wait until you're good to start repeating. It's repetition that makes you good. Don't seek external inspiration. Let every action be a step in reprogramming your mind, affirming your identity, and strengthening your belief. And if it seems daunting, remember, you don't have to do it all at once. You just have to do one small thing every day. One exercise, one page written, one vocal warm-up, one practice drill, just one thing repeated daily, without giving up. This is how you build a foundation for lasting mastery. I won't tell you this path is easy, but I assure you it is the surest. While others wait for opportunity, wait for inspiration, wait for a miracle. You will be quietly reprogramming your destiny through repetition. Look at reality. The winner isn't the one who starts with an advantage. The winner is the one who never stops repeating the right thing until the results become inevitable. You don't need to be fast. You just need to be consistent. You don't need to do more. You just need to constantly repeat. Let each day be a brick, and soon you will have built an outcome others only dream of. Repetition is the secret of masters, and now that secret belongs to you. The only question remaining is, are you willing to repeat the right thing until you become extraordinary? As we contemplate the journey undertaken thus far, we realize that the essence of achievement resides not in a single heroic act or a moment of sudden enlightenment. Instead, true transformation unfolds like a river that, fed by countless tributaries, gains strength and direction. Each conscious step, each deliberate choice, each instance of opting to advance rather than retreat, weaves a tapestry of progress, often imperceptible to external observers, yet profoundly felt internally. It is as if seeds sown in fertile ground, nurtured by intention and consistent action, begin to germinate, even if the ultimate harvest appears distant. The energy emanating from these continuous actions, even the most discreet ones, creates a vibrational field that resonates with the reality we aspire to manifest, shaping it subtly yet inexorably. In this process of personal alchemy, the way we interpret challenges and obstacles reveals itself as a decisive factor. What represents a dead end for some transforms into a springboard for others, an invitation to recalibrate and deepen commitment. The tools and perspectives we explore empower us to reconfigure our internal landscape, transforming limiting beliefs into foundations of strength and resilience. As these new mental and emotional frameworks solidify, the very nature of our interaction with the world shifts, opening doors to new possibilities and experiences that previously seemed unattainable. It is an intricate dance between clear intention, aligned action, and profound trust in the process, a synergy that orchestrates reality from the inside out. Reflecting on the journey thus far, one can discern an emergent pattern, an undercurrent connecting all facets of conscious creation. It's not merely about desiring something, but about embodying the very frequency of that desire already manifest. It is a subtle art of allowing life to unfold through us, rather than attempting to coerce it. The strategies and insights shared serve as a map, guiding us through the terrain of self-transformation, where persistence becomes a natural reflex and self-assurance an unshakable bedrock. As we turn toward the culmination of this exploration, the focus shifts to anchoring these truths within our lived experience, allowing wisdom to transmute into practical knowing, thereby shaping our future with intentionality and power. The journey we have undertaken together has unveiled a fundamental secret: the transformative power of constancy. This is not about innate talent or extraordinary luck, but rather the quiet discipline of showing up, of acting, of persisting, even when willpower falters and the path appears arduous. Each small step, each deliberate choice to advance rather than retreat, weaves a tapestry of progress invisible to external eyes yet profoundly felt internally. Seeds sown in fertile ground, nurtured by intention and consistent action, begin to germinate, shaping the reality we aspire to manifest. The energy emanating from these continuous actions creates a vibrational field that resonates with the frequency of the desire already realized, aligning our inner selves with the future we wish to build. We understand that the environment in which we operate, whether physical, social, or digital, is either a powerful ally or a subtle impediment in our pursuit of mastery. By intentionally designing our space, our interactions, and our information consumption, we cultivate an ecosystem that supports and amplifies our objectives, thereby diminishing the reliance solely on willpower. Similarly, our mindset, how we interpret challenges, the narratives we craft about our lives, and how we engage with the process rather than merely anticipating the outcome is the true engine of our creative capacity. It is the lens through which we perceive the world and consequently the reality we construct. Throughout this exploration, it has become evident that consistency is not an innate gift, but rather a skill to be meticulously cultivated, a muscle to be rigorously trained. Each instance we overcome internal resistance, each time we honor a commitment made to ourselves, we fortify the self-trust that forms the bedrock of all enduring accomplishments. This endeavor is not about achieving perfection, but about embracing progress, about an unwavering dedication to rise and persevere, irrespective of setbacks. Willpower may serve as the initial propellant, but it is the implementation of robust systems, the establishment of consistent habits, and sheer, unadulterated persistence that propel us forward, transforming nascent aspirations into tangible realities. The most profound truth to emerge from this journey is that genuine change is not an event, but a process. It is not about grand leaps, but about the patient accumulation of small steps, tirelessly repeated. Each day offers a fresh opportunity to reaffirm our commitment, to choose action over inertia, to build the identity of the person we aspire to be. True practice begins now, not in some idealized future, but in the present moment, with the courage to take the next step, however minuscule. Believe in the power of your persistence. It is the master key that will unlock the doors to the future you deserve.